All right, hey everybody, Mark Burgess again, Big East Bass Fishing, bringing you another video. So today I'm going to be talking to the guys that have been around for a while, okay, like myself, okay, because I don't think this, the newer, younger generation that's involved in the sport now can relate to what I'm going to talk about, which is, do you think it's harder to compete now than it was, say, years ago, prior to certainly front-facing sonar, prior to social media? I know, if you've watched fishing videos at all, then you've seen the guys talk about, back in the day. And they kind of have a little bit of a attitude about it. I don't blame them. I don't, but I could see where they're coming from. And what I'm talking about is, say David Fritz, okay? Just to name one example, okay? And there's numerous guys, okay? Only because of the style of fishing. He liked to fish offshore with a crankbait. I know plenty of people, though, that put literally hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into locating and finding spots. I mean, the only thing we had, and I have two giant plastic totes full of them, our horizontal file holder, two big tubs full of lake maps. I have a folder on every lake I've ever fished. In that folder are lake maps and charts and notes and detailed information on not even fishing related stuff, but where to stay and directions and places to eat and tackle shops and whatever. Any piece like local information, magazines and stuff like that, articles. I mean, that thick. Because there was no internet like we have today. So you got guys who did things like big time old school, okay? They found these offshore structures. They found whatever they found through hundreds and thousands of hours on the water fishing, especially offshore stuff. When you're trying to hit a stump or a rock pile, and it happens to be, let's say, it's not even that deep, 12, 15 feet of water, okay? But it's out in the middle of a creek channel swing, all right? Very difficult to find. You got to basically go over it. I mean, if you're running down the lake, you could tell, you go over something, turn around, 2D sonar, you're literally going back and forth and crisscrossing the grid pattern over it to get the lay of the land, okay? Very different from the technology that we have today. Okay, so they put that time in to find that little rock pile or that isolated stump, somebody like a David Fritz, to get back and know that, you got to be 50 yards away, and you got to basically, you got the, the house, the red house with the green roof, and the bridge over here, and back over here you got another landmark. To line it all up, make the right cast, tremendous amount of work, okay? So you got that, the competition back in the day, I mean, just stout. I came up, fishing the invitationals and when even FLW started the Everstart series, that fishing against all the greats, okay? I mean, fishing against Rick Clunn and Denny Brower and Roland Martin and Ken Cook and, Gary Klein and Zell Rowland, Jay Ellis. I mean, I can go on. Randy Blockett. I mean, they're all. I have all the old tournament records. There's their names. Phenomenal anglers, phenomenal competition. And I was as green as the grass. So They made me a better angler. Was it difficult to compete with them? Apples to apples in that era? Yes. Okay, it was. Okay, you learn knowledge a different way. Back then through reading articles and going to shows and listening to seminars, and you're watching the TV shows, but it was all through magazines and things like that. And talking to people and actually, hours and hours and hours on the water trying to figure this stuff out. On one hand, there was a lot of opportunity back then, and things have to collide at the right time. As I'm sitting here thinking, it's like there's several moments and situations and times and tournaments in my career where I knew after the fact, and that's a key point, after the fact. Sometimes a long time after the fact, sometimes right after the fact. I was on the winning fish. Didn't know it. I was in the winning area. Didn't know it. I was on the winning fish, in the right winning area, with the winning bait. Didn't know it. It was either, execution, which didn't happen that often. I thankfully didn't lose a lot of fish. That cost me. Just not knowing that what the situation I was in, going left when I should have gone right. Hindsight's 2020. You know that now. Oh yeah, okay. I chose to do this, and that wasn't the right decision. I should have done that. I'm not talking about that. I've gained a lot of experience from then till now, and now I know that I would go right instead of left. I wouldn't go left for the reasons that I know. Back then, I didn't know. Couple things come to mind. I was one of the first guys to go up and fish the area that I fished in Santee Cooper. Had it all to myself. I had some opportunities with the both the invitationals and the Everstart series. They were spawning at the time, and I chose to refish some areas that I had already taken good weight off of. Bad call. Okay, I should have just kept going. New water, new more fish, different places to catch the fish that were coming up to spawn. That's just one example, but a lot of times, a buddy of mine gave me credit. I could make something out of nothing. Just basically a little thing just kind of tripped my trigger, like catch a fish, and it's like, what's that fish doing there? Okay, and you put all the pieces together, But I remember the very first tournament I ever fished, professional tournament. I've talked about it before in fall of '96 on Hartwell. Located the winning area, what turned out to be the winning area. It suited my style of fishing. I visually saw fish chasing bait, I'll put it that way, pushing bait up against the bank, on a little subtle clay point. Couldn't catch them for whatever reason. There were birds in there, the bait was in there, I saw some shallow fish. I just didn't put it together, okay? And Larry Lazone, I believe, won that tournament. Rick Lilligard was fishing with him. But so I've had a lot of situations like that over the years, I'm not saying it was hard, but I'm trying to compare it, like I'm starting to talk about what I want to talk about. Is it harder to compete now? Is the level of competition now better than it was then? I would have to say yes. Okay, just kind of if I was being honest, only because I'm older. A lot of the guys are younger. They're doing some different things. Of course, the technology with live has had a little bit of effect. I got a feeling it's going to have a lot more effect. There's more information available. There wasn't all these videos. Okay, there were tapes and things like that, and CDs and what have you. Reading about it, it was more, like I said earlier, time on the water, figuring things out. Being in a boat with different people. I didn't spend a lot of time as a co-angler. Often thought I should have, but I was like fishing my whole life. I was very, I have good gut instinct. I can read water real well. But that would have helped a lot. And back in the day, FLW had a great program for their co-anglers. I felt it was better than Bass's for sure. There was more of a trail. It led somewhere. There were rewards for doing well. But I saw numerous guys start as co-angler, and they were a co-angler on the BFL. Then they became a boater on the BFL, but they were a co-angler on the Everstart series, or whatever it's called now, AAA, middle of the road. Then they'd graduate to be a co-angler on the FLW tour, and then they would graduate as a boater and say the Everstart series or the Railback, or like I said, whatever it is now, MLF5, Toyota series, whatever, and they just kept on. They were practicing, honing their craft on the BFLs as a boater, but yet they were a non-boater on the tour. And these guys got incredibly talented, incredibly good anglers, because they fished with so many really great anglers on those upper level tours. Okay, so and that to me was the key to success. I saw it over and over and over again. And I still encourage people to do that, as if you're just getting into the sport, is, join a club. You don't need a boat, low cost, learn from as many different people as you possibly can. Take all this kind of stuff in, and then just, let it carry you where it's going to carry you. But in general, and you can let me know in the comments, I think the competitions, I think it's tougher now for competitive fishing. I really do. Because the sport's not that old, okay? So you got guys that have been around a long time, that have a lot of knowledge on bass behavior, fish behavior, bait behavior, how it all relates, seasonal patterns, time of year, structure, they know how to do a lot of different things, okay? And I'll sidetrack a little bit. It's great to be versatile, okay? Knowing how to do a lot of different techniques and master a lot of the different techniques is a great thing. But what's more important is knowing when to apply them, all right? So if you don't, if you're doing the right thing in the wrong spot or vice versa, that doesn't help you, okay? You have to know that what you're doing is the right thing to do at the right time for where you're at, okay? You not to be somewhere else doing something else that you're also good at. Okay, you have to know when to use those techniques and baits most effectively. So I guess the short answer is I think it's tougher now. Competition's tougher now. It's harder to compete now than it was back then, depending. But just with all the tools that are at our disposal. Especially the internet and so forth. So I think there's I've fished with, I've participated and supported the high school and youth tournaments for years, especially, prior to the COVID years. And I got to see exactly, and these are kids, they started, fishing in the program when they're like 14, 15 years old. And absolute hammers now. I've been blessed to know a bunch of them, okay? There's a couple of them right now that started back when they were 14, 15 years old, fishing on the back of my boat, or I was their boat captain, they're fishing on my boat. Absolutely take my money now. It's crazy, So yeah, I think that probably proves it right there. Answer my own question. But let me know your thoughts. Certainly, You know, drop a comment and tell me what you think, where you're at in the sport, and if you think, you know, if you've been around for a long time, then, you know, especially, you know, if you can compare, if you can comment on the fact that, yeah, I was fishing 20, 30 years ago, you know, and it was like this, and here we are now, and you're still fishing. What do you think? Do you think you're hanging tough? Do you think you're getting your butt handed to you? You're noticing it's tougher, or it's not, or whatever the situation is for you. Let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer and get right back to you. All right, as usual, and always, thank you very much for the support and subscribing to the YouTube channel. And if this happens to be on either Facebook or Instagram, you know, like it, follow it, share it. I greatly appreciate it. And again, don't forget, we got a show coming up here, New England Fishing Expo, February 2nd through the 4th. So hopefully I'll see you there. All right. Everybody have a great day.